Welcome, Nomads, to the Nomad Nation Network. I'm your host and fellow Nomad, Step Van Rav. This is Nomad News for Monday, January 6th. Welcome to our first official episode of the year 2020. Before we get started, guys, do me a little favor, look right down there. Click that little red subscribe button. Be sure to click the little bell next to it. It'll give you a new notification every single time we upload a new video. That way you stay in the know when it comes to everything in the Nomad Nation. Now, to our first story. Hey guys, before we get started with the news, I just wanted to take a second and say thank you guys so much for all of you that participated and showed up for my live chat, my live streaming that I did a couple of last week. I did like 2 nights or one night in a row. I did it like at 12 a.m. in the morning, and in less than 24 hours, I did it again. It was such a success. I was basically just doing some test runs to learn how it actually worked because I did not understand all of it completely, and I wanted to see what I could do to get it working, and it worked. So I do plan on doing another live stream this Friday night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I'm trying to do it a little bit earlier so people can get in if they want to. That'll be like 10 p.m. on the East Coast. So hopefully you guys can make it for my next live stream. That if all goes well and if nothing happens, if I'm still alive, and possibly if everything goes right, if all the planets align, I plan on live streaming Friday night at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can see I'm making some changes here in the studio for the new year. My number one thing on my list for the new year was to get the live streaming going, to get it started. My number 2 thing on my New Year's resolution list was to get the studio dialed in, get a few more pieces of equipment that I really wanted to make this thing where I want it. I have all of that equipment ordered and it is on the way. So hopefully I will have this thing exactly like I want it, so it won't be changing up anymore, because I know you guys get used to one thing and then it changes and then it throws everything off. I understand that. People love my USA flag mic. I still have that mic. There's a good possibility that mic will move to my truck setup, because I am thinking about going ahead and setting up a small studio in my truck. So I can do this actually from my truck or from in here, depending on where I want to do it at. So if I want to do one on the weekends, I can do a live stream, or I can do an episode of Nomad News on the weekends when I'm not here in my office and not working. So that's what I've got going on, guys. So bear with me. Be patient. I'm getting there. And again, I wanted to thank you guys so much for all the kind words and all the encouragement that you guys gave me about the live streaming. I really, really, truly appreciate that, because I was very apprehensive about it. I've been wanting to do it for over a year. I've had a lot of encouragement from good friends of mine like Paul Barger, the Van Life Sheldons, and several of my other YouTube friends have all encouraged me to do the live stream. My really good friend Noah Sargent, who's got a channel called Hacking Hollywood. Him and I work on different productions together. We met a couple of years ago on American Horror Story when we were both working as set production assistants. So he is a live streaming guru. He has like $30,000 worth of equipment that he live streams with multiple cameras, and I usually help him as a technician to help him get his live streams out sometimes. So I've actually worked as a camera op as well, and but I still didn't know how I wanted to do this live stream thing for myself, and I'm just getting it all figured out. And I do appreciate you guys that all tuned in and that gave me all the encouraging words. Anyway, guys, we're going to get to our first story. All right, guys, I bet a lot of you are very familiar with our very first van lifer and our first story. It is none other than Chrome with VanCityVanLife. Chrome has almost 50,000 subscribers in the last 2 years. I think he started his YouTube channel about 2 years ago, and it has grown like crazy. And there's a good reason for that, because he has a very interesting channel. He's a very positive, upbeat guy. He's a Canadian up in the Great White Northern, I guess is what you call it. And he's a very good storyteller, so he does very good with his vlogs. I remember we started out right around the same time going hard and heavy with our channels. His exploded and mine didn't. So You know, it is what it is. But he's a very interesting guy, and he's got a great channel, so you should check it out if you haven't. And that is Chrome with VanCityVanLife. Not his last video, but his second to last video. He's up. He's usually a city dweller in Vancouver, but he was not in Vancouver. Look what my beautiful, not boss, but kind of my boss.
Shot of you, Miss Mel. Look at you.
Yeah,
Take it easy, Tiger.
She brought me from, guess where? Vancouver. That she was there during the holidays. Anyway, so Chrome is traveling out. He does this from time to time. I do the same thing here in LA. We travel out to the wilderness and just to escape the city. And he traveled out to a campground that he has been before. He was there, I guess, about a year ago with another buddy van lifer, and they stayed in this one particular campground. And Chrome came back this year in the snow and made it down this logging road to camp where he had camped before this time last year, only to find out that the camp had literally been trashed.
Piles of garbage over here, broken windows with glass all over the ground. Come on. Have some respect, people. Oh, and the glass is everywhere. Looks like another broken window over here. That was a very nice fire pit in the summer when Jonah was here, just before I left on my big trip. Looks like they've been burning plastic. Oh my gosh, that's rock hard. Looks like they've been burning plastic and other things there. That's a melted piece of glass. This is so disrespectful. But that was the fire pit. Now someone left a rim here to make a new fire pit because that's just a big heap of melted. That's so disgusting. Someone dumped an old fireplace over here. And it looks like they've been cutting some trees down over there. Like there's a big freshly cut stump over there. That's a big no-no. Bags of who knows what. They look like diapers in there. Such a pretty spot. I can't believe this. I am incredibly sad in this moment.
He was pretty upset about it. Pretty pitiful, if I do say so myself. But I will say I was very impressed with Chrome's take to action, because what he did is he actually put his gloves on, and he actually worked for 45 minutes to an hour, and he actually cleaned up the majority of the mess. He cleaned up all the broken glass, and instead of like a lot of us, because I've been guilty of this, finding a camp that's trashed, I just move on until I find one that's not trashed. And it made me stop and think, a lot of us will go, well, I didn't make the mess, so it's not my responsibility to clean it up. And that's true. If you didn't make the mess, it's really not your responsibility to clean it up. I know a lot of us were raised that way. We were raised that if you made the mess, then yeah, you should clean it up. And if you didn't make the mess, well, it's not your responsibility to clean it up. But I will say that I was very impressed with Chrome taking the time to clean up the mess and make the campsite orderly again. A lot of us van lifers get a very bad name for trashing places. And I was just talking about this in my live stream the other night, because it's a lot of time it's the locals. I know in Arizona, when you find a lot of trash and stuff out in the desert, it's the locals that are doing it, which I just do not understand. Like, why are you trashing your own backyard? Why are you trashing? That's your home. We're visiting there. We're trying to keep it clean. We're packing in, packing out, trying to make sure we take all of our trash with us, leave no trash on the ground, try not to run through the mud to make deep ruts, being active to try not to trash the place. And the people that actually live around there are trashing the place. So that's another thing that you get a lot. You get a big heavy dose of that with Rob with Little House on the Highway, which is another thing I talked about on my live stream. So if you haven't caught any of my live streams, you should think about catching my live streams in the future, because talk about these things. Anyway, guys, to our next story. All right, guys, our next story is going to involve none other than the former van lifer and my good friend Chelsea Vicari. If you don't know who Chelsea is, she was a young lady that traveled as a nomad around for a couple of years with a little SUV pulling a bumper pull travel trailer. And I met Chelsea last year at RTR, and she's just a doll, and I love her to death. And we were actually texting earlier, and I was teasing her because in her latest video, her and her boyfriend Joey are transforming from van life back into being static dwellers, and they've got an apartment now in North Carolina, South Carolina. She's in one of the Carolinas, I know. Got a really gorgeous little apartment. I love the way she decorates it. She should be an interior decorator, the way she decorates. But she's getting back into apartment life, and she has these huge longhorns that are on her mantle.
Hi everybody, it's Chelsea. I am coming to you from my bathroom floor. I have not yet done an official apartment tour video since I moved off the road from a little camper trailer to this apartment. The transition has been kind of weird for me, as a couple of you guys may know, but I will definitely do like a video soon about, you know, the transition between living #van life for 3 years and then moving back to a brick and mortar building and not being a nomad anymore, because I think that's something that we're gonna see a lot of coming up. As you know, van life has kind of taken off, and a lot of people feel like it's run its course, but there's also a lot of new people joining in on it. And so for the people that are coming out of van life, here's, you know, gonna be my experience of it. And then for the people that are entering it, here's what you can anticipate after you're done with van life. But right now, I just want to do a apartment tour for you guys and show you where I've been for the last 4 months since quitting #van life.
Mantle. They're on her mantle, and I think those horns would look much better on the hood of my Freightliner MT45 Snap-on truck. So if you agree with me, I need all of you guys to make a beeline over to Chelsea's video, and it's her apartment tour video, and let her know that she needs to give up the horns and let me place those on the hood of my truck, because that's where they actually do belong. They don't belong on Chelsea Vicari's mantle. They belong on the hood of my truck. And she knows this, so go harass her until she gives up the horns. Just do it. Like Nike. All right, guys, I do have to touch on this story really quick. It does involve my good buddy, Paul Barger. I know a lot of you I talk about Paul almost every single video I do. I love the guy. He's my best nomad friend. So, but I do have to touch base on the simple fact that he had a lot of us know he had a viral video that did over 1 million views of him getting pulled over by a Nevada state trooper, I believe. Yeah. Idaho. I'm sorry, Idaho state trooper. And female or sheriff, I don't remember. It was a female cop that pulled him over, and that video garnished over 1 million views. And lo and behold, Paul has gotten pulled over again. He's making a career on YouTube out of getting pulled over. A very lucrative one, I might add, because I know how much money he's making on these videos. So he's doing very well for himself. he keeps telling me I just need to get pulled over too, but I'm chicken, so I haven't done it. I'm not getting pulled over, hopefully ever. But anyway, Paul has gotten pulled over again, and he was outside of Reno, Nevada. That's why I got the videos confused. He was outside of Reno, and he got pulled over by a Nevada state trooper, and this time they actually searched his truck. I'm not sure if you've seen the video. You probably have. It hasn't done quite as well as the first one, but it's done very well as well. Paul took this one a little bit different, and he's took some criticism for that. He was a little bit more, what's the word? Not militant, but a little bit more standoffish, I guess. And I think that came from a lot of the kind of antagonizing comments that on his first video about people saying you shouldn't answer questions, you shouldn't do this, and you shouldn't do that. So I think he kind of took a more hardline stance on this pullover, because Paul's just the sweetest guy, and that's really not his personality. Even though none of us like getting pulled over and harassed by the freaking cops. You would think they would have better stuff to do than just randomly be pulling people over, but evidently they don't. They searched his whole truck. He ended up having a small amount of a very legal substance now in the state of Nevada. I'm not going to say which substance that was, but he did have a substance in his truck. But he had nothing really illegal in his truck, so he was basically harassed for 45 minutes while they turned his truck upside down, and then they let him go. It was funny to me, if you watch the video, that the dog, it literally alerts at the front of the truck when the dog is completely out of Paul's view. It's kind of funny how they always do that stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, if they want to search you, they're going to search you. So, I mean, if Paul should say, from now on, when they pull him over, they're like, well, you know why I pulled you over? Yeah, because you want to search my truck. That's the only reason you pulled me over. Because that's exactly what they want to do. The first cops in Idaho wanted to search his truck too, but it didn't work out for them. But the Nevada cops made sure that they were gonna make sure that they got the search. And sure enough, they did. They found nothing. But they turned Paul's truck upside down, and it's just a big inconvenience when they do that. So, drives me nuts. I freaking hate that kind of crap. They need to, I'm not going to get on the soapbox. We're just going to leave it at that. Paul, I love you, brother. And hopefully you get pulled over again soon and get another million view video. On to our next story. All right, guys, this next story, I don't really touch on the really popular Sprinter kids, is what I call them. They're the cliche van lifers that are, they're all driving the, 40,000 plus self-converted, beautiful Sprinters. They all got more money than most of us put together. I don't touch on a lot of stuff that they do. Elam and Beck got broken into. I reported on that. They're another of the popular Sprinter kids. But anyway, Max and Lee have a channel with almost 440,000 subscribers. They're right at 438,000 subscribers, I believe. So they've got a very, very popular YouTube channel. And they have been overlanding or going around from country to country, which is what a lot of these, I call them wealthy Sprinter kids, is what they basically do, is they go from country to country, have their rigs shipped around, and, it makes for great content for YouTube, and it's why they have 438,000 subscribers in just a couple of years. But I mean, they make great content. I'm not bashing them. Their videos are really good. But I'm reporting on this story because this one really touched a nerve with me, and something I don't think a lot of us are looking to do this. But if you are doing this, this is something that you do need to be aware of, because if it could happen to them, it could happen to me. It could happen to you. It could happen to any of us if we decide to ship our rig somewhere. My rig's too big to ship, but if you have a van that you could ship, this is something to think about. They were shipping their rig back from, I'm not exactly sure, Greece or Spain. I watched the video, but that slipped my mind and I didn't write it down. But they were shipping their rig back to the United States from wherever they had been. And I don't watch all of their videos, but I did watch this one because it caught my attention. The titling did. And come to find out, their van has been stuck in customs in U.S. Customs here in Los Angeles. It's stuck in Customs. That doesn't sound like that big of a deal until you watch their video and realize, and if you have any dealings with a port, which I do, the Los Angeles port here, I've had dealings with them in the past with stuff I've ordered that's gotten held up in Customs and they won't release it until it clears Customs. You can't do anything about getting it until it clears Customs. You can drive down there and look at it, but if it hasn't cleared Customs, it's going to stay there. And it takes sometimes a day to clear Customs. It depends on how busy Customs is. It could take a week. You never know. And they're not going to release it until it clears Customs. So that's what I thought. That's the van that they were in. What? That's the predicament that they found themselves in. Their van was stuck in Customs. And then it just goes off the deep end, because what really happened was they hired a shipping broker in the country of origin where they were coming from to the United States, which was Greece or wherever it was, the foreign country. They hired a shipping broker that's supposed to help expedite the process. You pay them, so once your rig hits, everything is already in order. The paperwork's done, everything's paid for, so you just get you'll be able to get your rig out here in a couple of days, maybe 3 days, maybe a week longest. Long story short, their shipping broker basically screwed them. And once they had left that country of origin, they have no way to get back to that shipping broker. And basically the shipping broker said that he was going out of business. All of his bank accounts were locked up. This is going to be a long story. They had paid that shipping broker over $6,000. Over $6,000. Okay, their van is now sitting in Customs. And it can't clear because I can't think of the name, what they're called, the duties, all of the shipping duties and everything that has to be paid has not been paid because that was money that the broker was supposed to use to pay. And he decided to keep the money and not pay it. So now their van is sitting at the Port of Los Angeles and it's incurring like $400 a day worth of fees. The van sit there for over a month. Like 38 days, I believe, 28 days, 38 days, somewhere in there is the last number I saw them give on how many days their van had been there. To wrap this up, what they ended up having to do was go back and repay over $6,000 and another $2,000 or $3,000. Anyway, they had to pay a buttload of money, and it all ended up averaging around $12,000. I've got a rig for sale. I'm trying to get $10,500 for it. I can't find anybody with $10,500 worth of cash to give me to buy my rig. I have probably 60, 70 text messages of people wanting to buy it, but nobody's actually got $10,500 to buy it. So it amazes me that these Sprinter kids, they all seem to have pocket change of $12,000. Now, they were pretty distraught about it, and rightly so. Lee actually cried, and it was sad. It was a pretty sad predicament that they're in, and I don't wish that on anybody. No matter how much money you got, nobody wants to waste $12,000, even if you're filthy rich. That's a lot of money to waste unless you're a multimillionaire and you're gambling it away in Vegas or something like that, and it's just a drop in the bucket to you. That does happen, but to most of us, that's a big chunk of change. And as hard as they're working on YouTube, I imagine that's a big chunk of change for them as well. Yeah, so that's just a really bad chain of luck to happen to them right at the beginning of the year. So I feel really bad for them. My heart goes out to them. So maybe stop by over there at their page, leave a comment, let them know that the whole community does feel bad for them. It doesn't matter how much money you have. That's just that chain of events that happened to them is just, it's heartbreaking, unbelievable. But luckily, I think they're getting their van. So that's the most important thing. I know a lot of people, their van didn't even cost $12,000. So, I'm just glad that they had the money to get it out. Could you imagine if they didn't? That would be a whole different nightmare. Anyway, guys, to our next story. All right, our last story, guys, is not much of a story, but I just had to touch on it really quick. It's going to involve none other than Mr. Camo Dave. That's me right there. And Mr. Camo Dave decided to do some critiquing and give me some advice for my live streaming. He believe he thought it was a little bit too long. It was an hour. He said it was 4 hours, but my live stream, my first one, was an hour. He said that was too long, and he wanted to give me some advice to make sure I didn't put the mic in front of my face anymore.
Hey, it's a new year. We got the Nomad News guy live streaming 4 hours. First off, a little bit of advice for the Nomad News guy. 4 hour stream, too long. Too many streams on YouTube. Most of them are too long. Number two, you're not on radio, you're on video, okay? Don't put a microphone that obscures half your face, okay? It's a wonderful mic. I'm sure it costs a lot of money. It makes you sound great, but you want to position it so it's not like covering half your face. I know that, what was his name? I saw somebody else. Anyway, yeah, I've seen a bunch of other nomads doing this too. People that don't do that. Okay, those are pet peeves. Okay, otherwise, I'm going to do that with my new studio. Get a big microphone and just put it. You don't have to look at my beard anymore. Okay, will that work?
So, took your advice, Camo Dave. It's not in front of my face anymore, so hopefully you approve. But it's funny that if you look at Camo Dave's next videos, his live streams, they went for an hour, a couple hours, or both of them I think went close to an hour. One of them went an hour, I think the other one went close to an hour. It's kind of funny how that works, right? I have nothing against Camo Dave. He actually has got a new place, I believe in... Where are you at, Camo Dave? I think North Carolina or South Carolina, too. Everybody's in the freaking What's going on in the Carolinas that is so freaking... Everybody's got to be in the Carolinas. Yeah, Dave's got him a new place, calling it the new... what is his puppet's name? I don't even know what his puppet's name is. But anyway, he's named his studio, and he's looking like he's going to put a studio together. Looks like a pretty cool place with high ceilings, and looks like a great place for a studio. So, hey, we may see... Camo Dave putting a studio together. He might quit using his phone to record everything or whatever. I don't know what he's using, but yeah. So anyway, congratulations on your new place, Camo Dave. We look forward to seeing what you do with it. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Nomad News. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and be sure to click the bell. It'll give you the notification every single time we upload a new video. Be sure to comment below. Let us know what you think of the episode. Don't forget to catch the live stream Friday night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And remember, guys, everything you ever wanted is sitting right on the other side of fear. Peace.